Welcome to the Pink Sphere podcast. This is your 30 minutes of pink, your weekly space to pause, breathe, and tune into something that might just change the way you move through the world. Today's episode is called From Caps to Careers, and it's for anyone who just graduated, feels a little or a lot lost, and is wondering now what. We're joined by Helen, a career coach who helps young women find their way after school ends and real life begins. Whether you're trying to figure out your next step, building experience, or just stay sane during the job hunt, this chat will help. Hi, Helen. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here.
I want to start with something most of us feel or felt after graduation. When you just finished school and don't know what to do next, what's the first thing you'd say to someone in that moment?
Okay, so this is actually a really common problem because there's no
Mhm.
law that says you have to know what you're going to do when you're 18 years old. So a lot of young people have difficulties with this kind of decision making. Um, okay, so how we start is look at self, so people's self-awareness, look at what they're good at, why they're good at that, what their talents are, what they gain energy from in their life. We look at what the opportunities are, what's realistic and achievable for these young people, and then finally look at what kind of networking they can build for themselves. So that's a general gist of how the framework within how a career coach works with an individual. Um, in a general sense. In an individual sense, it can be quite complicated. All career coaches work with people as individuals. We're person centered practitioners. So we're always looking at what that young person's individual circumstances are. So, when somebody is coming to the end of their school career, they will hopefully have had some guidance around about
Mhm.
courses and careers, so around about post school options. And that may be through career education at school, it may be through talking to family and carers, it may be through talking to friends, it may be through, just activities, you know, television programs, all kinds of things in their life that they're interested, extracurricular activities, for example. And somebody can look at what actually excites them, what interests them, but also what they're actually good at, because that's pretty important. So I would say most young people now are going into further or higher education after they finish school. And there's two routes. There's the vocational route, where the job that you might do ultimately is closely related to the degree or the college
Mhm.
course you've done. And then there is the academic route, which is somebody might have a real strength at school in studying English literature, and that's what they want to take forward. The difficulty is there's no real career path from a subject area like history or English or
Yeah.
sociology. So there's all kinds of degrees that are purely academic and don't actually relate to the workplace, or what industry and the economy needs.
Yeah.
So what we do, so I'm based in Scotland, and one of the things, and I work for the Scottish Government, and one of the things we do is we look very carefully at labour market intelligence and where the vacancies actually are within Scotland,
Mhm.
within the Scottish company, the Scottish economy divided into different geographical regions. So I don't know if other countries do this. Certainly, it's a really valuable resource that we offer, because what it means is that young people and their carers can actually look at where the vacancies are going to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So that can help them with plotting a path. Most
Mm.
people go into further or higher education with a view of actually getting a job ultimately. So doing that kind of labour market analysis is really important when you're actually looking at what you might go on to. If you have decided, so you want to do law, or you want to do engineering, or you want to be a beauty therapist, whatever it is you want to do, it's really, really vital to get some work experience.
Mhm.
So to get a part-time job, to get some work experience in the field you're interested in, for two reasons. Firstly, it confirms that that's the right path for you,
Yeah.
because it may not meet your expectations. And the second thing is you're actually gaining relevant contacts that you can
Mm-hmm.
call upon in the future.
Yeah.
Once somebody has embarked on their degree or their college course, it's really important to always have a view to what they're going to do when they finish. So, too many younger people I see who are maybe at university, they go to university, they have a fantastic social life, they're involved in various clubs and societies, but they don't really think about what their life outside after college or university is going to look like. And what that means is that if they don't get relevant internships, relevant work experience, start building a network through LinkedIn, for example, they really are on the back foot when it comes to graduating.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that in terms of somebody finishing school and moving on. I would say it's really important to have a view to the future. Okay. And that will be a changing landscape, obviously, but always to have a sense of, what you want to do ultimately, what skills and qualities you need, how to build those skills and qualities, those connections, that experience.
Yeah. And you mentioned internships. How can internships help you figure out what you do or don't want to do?
So internships are generally vocational. So if you're doing a business studies degree, it
Mm-hmm.
would probably be a business related internship, say in the financial services industry, a bank or a retail organization or HR, something like that. If you are doing engineering, it would be with an engineering company. So companies do actually have internship vacancies on their websites generally. Universities are a really, really good source of internship
Mm-hmm.
information because they're really kind of linked in to the employers. I would also say that there are some really good websites. So there is a website called prospects.ac.uk, and there'll be other websites like that out there, and that has really good links to internship and work experience opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also being creative. So it might not be possible to get an internship. There's way more people want them than there are actually internships out there. So in that situation, what I would suggest somebody does is they actually think about what companies they would like to work for.
Mm-hmm.
So the companies that align to their values, to their skills and qualities, that interest them in terms of what that company does. Have a really good look at the website, then see if there's anybody that works for that company that who's a decision maker that you can link in with on LinkedIn, or you can contact in some other way. And it's with a view of not saying, oh, I'd really like some work experience, but saying, I'm contacting you because I feel really passionately about what your company does. I see that you do X, Y, and Z. I would really love to learn more, maybe have a little chat, because I'd love to work with an organization like yours in the future, because generally people really enjoy giving advice and
Yeah.
guidance to others, especially young people who are just starting out, and especially if it doesn't actually cost them anything. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just giving, even if it's a little chat over Teams or some a means such as that. When you will have to that person will have to persevere. They're not going to get a yes immediately. They'll have to contact a variety of companies. But when they do get that opportunity, it's important to prepare for it professionally. So to have a very clear idea of what you actually want to gain from that
Mm-hmm.
conversation, what you want to ask that person, and to take notes. And then also to ask if there's any possibility of a follow up conversation, a follow up meeting, or if they have any contacts of their own that they might be able to recommend.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think it's okay to take a break after graduation? Because some people do that. Some people do just they want to take some time off.
Mhm.
They want to think about their, skills and everything. What should someone do during that time so it still feels useful, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. So that's quite a common thing to do. So it's quite common to take a year between school and college or university, usually school and university. It's also increasingly common for young people who are graduates to take a year or so out. And I think that is for two reasons. I think it's because Nowadays, there's not such a certain path from education to work. There's no such thing as a career for life. So people are not quite as invested as in getting on that career ladder. And people with social media and the ability to connect with people and, experiences and locations across the world, I think young people are just more curious and they value experiences more than things. So they're going to find it very difficult these days to get on the housing market, to buy a car, all these kind of milestones that previous generations would have met are really difficult for young people in their 20s these days. So they're thinking more in terms of experiences and spending
Yeah.
their money and their resources that way. Um, it's a good idea if it's well thought out and it's well planned, because if you're taking a year before university or after university, whomever you apply to are going to want to know how you spent that year. So they want
Yeah.
to know that you had a real rationale behind your decision making, that you were using it as I suppose, a skills development, a personal development year, that you really moved yourself forward in some way. So I would say it's 100% a valuable thing to do if it's right for you. And I would say
Yeah.
that it's a good idea to get professional guidance about that, because
Hmm.
there's lots of opportunities for time out and some are much more valuable than others.
And what would you say to someone who's, scared to apply for jobs they don't feel ready for, or how can someone build confidence when they feel like they don't have enough experience?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So it can be that it can be that young people have very little experience for all kinds of reasons. It can be that they have experience, but they don't have the confidence to articulate that experience. It can be that, yeah, they just generally don't have the confidence to move forward with plans they have. I think that's where it is really important to connect with somebody, a coach that can advise you and can do mock conversations with you in terms of making
Hmm.
these initial approaches. Coaches can also help with CVs, with covering letters, with identifying opportunities, with completing applications, and with preparing competency answers for interviews, which are it's and actually now often employers ask for people to actually video themselves and
Yeah.
send it in. So for some people, that's a lot easier than others.
Yeah, of course. Of course. And the job hunt can be brutal, right?
Yeah.
And, there are lots of unrealistic job descriptions and a lot of competition. How do you stay motivated when things aren't working out right away?
Do you know, it's really, really difficult. So I have, even in the last couple of weeks, I have seen one young man who has completed over 1,000 job applications. He's an
Wow.
engineering graduate. He's got some good experience in Paris, but it's just such a difficult landscape. And I live in the UK and there's challenges around, taxation and, business taxes and what have you. And there's maybe not as many companies hiring as there might be in other countries. So it really does depend on where you're looking for work. And I had a young person who just graduated with a 2:1 honours degree in law from Edinburgh University and was actually looking for a paralegal job and was unable to find one. And there are lots of reasons behind why these two people were in
Of
this
course.
situation. I would say that okay, so I'll give you. I think it's best to be anecdotal. So I'll give you
Sure.
two examples from my own life. So one of my friends, their daughter has just graduated from St Andrews University with a 2:1 honours degree in international relations. And that's an example of a non-vocational degree. It doesn't really relate to anything in the real world. So she has gone on straight from not even finishing her degree to getting a graduate level marketing job in one of the big four accountancy companies in London. Now, the way she did that, there's a number of just in herself, she presents extremely well, she's extremely
Hmm.
outgoing, and she comes across just tip top. Okay. But whilst she was at university, she set up her own company, which was buying and selling designer clothes.
Wow.
And she actually became really, really good at this and earned quite a lot
Hmm.
of money at it. And it was that entrepreneurial spirit and ability and all the skills that she gained from that in terms of marketing and promotion, all the
Yeah.
skills that actually could tick off what they were looking for in this job spec, that really impressed them and set her apart. So that in
Yeah.
fact set her apart than, the graduates that maybe had internships,
Hmm.
because a lot of them had, whereas she had done something that was quite different.
Yeah.
And the other example is my own daughter, she graduated with a first from Central St Martin's in London, and she's already got several offers, but that's through
Wow.
personal contacts.
Yeah.
So contact, but it's not necessarily family contacts, it's her own
Hmm.
contacts, because she has a huge network and she's
Yeah.
incredibly outgoing.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of strengths that have to work in tangent, I think, for somebody to move on really quickly and really successfully from university. For somebody that is not able to do that on their own, and a lot of people are not able to do that on their own, I think that retaining a coach, so either a life coach, a
Yeah.
career coach, somebody that can actually help you practice those skills and develop that confidence to make those
Hmm.
approaches.
And you mentioned networking a couple of times. I want to know, how can someone do it in a way, networking in a way that doesn't feel fake or like begging?
Yeah. So So that's quite straightforward, actually. As I said before, the best thing to do is to be very targeted about who's going to be useful to you, essentially, and that's what networking is all about. It's about a beneficial relationship. Be very clear about who's going to be interested in you, or who is going to be helpful to you, and then an informal approach. So you're contacting them via LinkedIn, or you're contacting them via, if you're able to get their work email address, or if
Yeah.
there's a means of contacting them through their company website. And you're not begging in the sense of you are somewhat flatter. That's my doorbell. You're
That's okay.
somewhat flattering them in that you're saying, you've looked at their LinkedIn, you've looked at their company website, this is what you've been doing, this is why what they're doing really resonates with you. It would be, you're just starting out, they're obviously really established in their career. It would be really
Hmm.
lovely if they were able to take a bit of time
Yeah.
to have a chat with you. And as I'm saying, you might have to make a lot of these approaches, but you only need one or two to make a
Yeah.
difference to you. And it's about a blended approach. You're not just using that approach, you're also applying for advertised opportunities, you're making speculative approaches to companies. So it's about a blended approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, careers are changing really fast nowadays, and with the presence of AI and everything. How do you think someone can keep their skills fresh and keep growing? Even with LinkedIn, all the bios are written with ChatGPT, CVs
Yeah.
prepared with that. How do you think people can keep up?
So I think these days everybody needs to learn about AI and using it as a tool. So people that are not going to really progress very far, even through using AI, is when they're using it to do everything. Okay, so it's about what you have to offer and how you can use AI to enhance that. So, for example, if you are applying for a job, you have your CV and you have the job description, you can actually just cut and paste your CV and the job description into ChatGPT and ask for it to make a comparison to see if you've got the right keywords in there, if you've
Mm-hmm.
got the right skills and experience they're asking for. So you can use it in such a basic way as
Yeah,
that.
right.
And that's quite an effective tool to use because a lot of companies use AI to screen applications. So not having all these keywords in is maybe not going to get you through the sift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In terms of how it's going to affect different jobs, it's still quite difficult to tell because actually AI is still quite rudimentary in terms
Mm-hmm.
of what it can do just now and what it might be able to do in the future. And there are a lot of arguments for not taking it to that next level
Yeah.
for various reasons. I think all we can do is look at what it can do now and how it can help us,
Yeah.
and make sure that we're keeping abreast of those developments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you're putting together a bio or a personal statement, and you're completely doing it yourself, it's generally going to be a bit less polished than running it through AI.
Yeah.
But you should
Absolutely.
always make sure that there are certain tells with AI that you've used it. So it's important to be aware of what these tells are, because you don't want it to be too obvious that that's what.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I want to talk about, the skills a little bit more.
Mm,
A lot of people don't realize, they have transferable skills. How
yes.
can they figure those out and use them when changing directions?
Yeah. So if you just go onto Google and you download a list of meta skills, so meta
Hmm.
skills are the skills that we all have to build specific job skills, specific technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as so examples are creativity, interpersonal skills. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
there's about
Standard
10.
ones.
I'm struggling
Yeah.
to remember now. I think there's about 10 of them. But just downloading a list of meta skills, and that's a really good starting point. If there is a job that you're interested in or a career you're interested in, then download a graduate level job profile for that career, and that will give you a really good list of skills. Look at job adverts or
Mm-hmm.
job specs for that career. They will give you a really good list of skills. And it's looking, so even if you are a young mum returning to the workplace, there will be lots of skills that you have built up just through managing, a family routine, budgeting, all the things that a
Yeah.
mother has to do. These are transferable strengths, and sometimes women don't actually think that. They might think they're going back into the workplace, they've been at home for a few years, they've got nothing relevant to offer, and that's just simply not the case. And that's why I do think, once again, if you are going back into the work, if you're graduating, if you're going back into the workplace and you're not sure how to get to where you want to go, or you're not even sure where you want to go, then it's really important to contact a coach and
Yeah.
get some guidance about the way
Mm-hmm.
forward. I think
Yeah.
that can really, really help.
And you are a part of the pink sphere. I want to
Yes.
know, I know, but I want our listeners to know why you joined the pink sphere as a coach and how you can help them through the pink sphere.
Okay. So I've mentioned LinkedIn a few times during this chat, and there was a very lovely message from Nadine, that the CEO of the Pink Sphere, that popped
Thank
into
you.
my LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting. I'm going to reply to that. And she got back in touch with me, and that's the rest is history. What I would say really appeals to me is the fact that it's run by women. It's, the people involved in it are women, and it's for women. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that women have had quite a tough deal over the past few decades. I think we
Yeah.
still have a tough deal. In fact, I was reading an article today about a new academic term called, oh my word, it's actually gone completely out of my head. It's oh, do you know what? I'll have to continue this. It's gone out of my head. It's
That's okay.
it's man something or other. So it's women that will spend their entire married life managing a man. So
Mm.
managing their, because men are not so connected in terms of friendship. So it falls on their wife or their
Yeah.
partner to actually be their sole source of entertainment, to deal with their moods and their,
Yeah.
but also deal with the children
Yeah.
and parents and what have you. And I just think it's really important for women to have women only spaces to talk about how they're feeling, to get help and support that's completely tailored to a woman's experience. And that was what resonated with me, because I have, obviously, I am a woman. I've been a graduate who didn't know where to go afterwards. I've been a midlife career changer. I've been a young mother and had all the challenges around that.
Yeah.
So I really do understand, the challenges around being a woman. And I just think it's really important that we have these spaces.
And thank you for being a part of the Pink Sphere. I really appreciate your presence. And thank you for today's episode. We still have a few more minutes, and I want to end it with one last question, if that's okay.
Of course.
So, what's one thing you wish every young woman knew about building a career today? And if you had one final tip for them,
So
what would
one
it be?
piece of one piece of advice to every woman thinking about career, I would say it is to be bold. So to believe you can do it, to believe in yourself, and to be bold. Men are bold. They're entitled. They believe that they have, a right to certain, types of careers and,
Yeah.
entry level positions. Women should 100% believe that they also have the right to those opportunities.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this week's 30 Minutes of Pink. Huge thanks to Helen for making career talk way less scary and way more doable. And if you're just starting out, figuring things out, or changing direction, you're not behind. You're building something real. And go to thepinksphere.com to find support, mentors, and other women who are also piecing it together just like you.
Yeah, we're all just
Follow
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And follow the show, follow the podcast, share this episode with someone starting, their career and staring at their diploma like help. And we'll see you next week. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Bye.
Bye.